Hi everyone, welcome back to another video. I am super excited to be filming this because I have a brand new colored pencil blender to try out. In this package I have the Grizaye Burnisher blender that was just released last week or so. Grizaye was nice enough to send me this test kit so I could try it out and see how I liked their new blender, and I thought since I was gonna test it out myself, I might as well make a video and share it with all of you. For those of you that are not familiar with this company, I did do a review on their colored pencils. They did release a colored pencil set with 72 really beautiful colors. If you've not yet seen that, I will go ahead and link it in the upper right hand corner, but they do have their own colored pencils, and so now they have a brand new blender. So we're going to try this blender out today with their colored pencils, and then I thought I might go ahead and try it out with the Polychromos and the Prismacolors and see how it performs. If you check the description box down below, I will have the link down there where you can find these Burnisher blenders on the Grizzai website, as well as links to my email list, my Facebook group, my Etsy shop, and my Patreon if you'd like to support me there. I also now have channel membership. If you would like to find more information out about that, you can click the join button down below this video. So let's go ahead and check this out. This is the Grizzai test set that they sent to me, and so let's go ahead and see exactly what is in here. So we get 2 premium colorless Burnisher blenders, and then we get a pack of their Stonehenge warm white paper. This is the paper they use in all their drawing kits. I've done several reviews on quite a few of their drawing kits and showed you how those work, and they're actually really cool. I'll go ahead and link one of those videos up in the upper right hand corner so that you can check it out. They did send me 3 of their colored pencils. Now their colored pencils are a hybrid of wax and oil. They don't necessarily label them as a wax-based pencil or an oil-based pencil. Every colored pencil does have a certain percentage of oil or wax, and the percentage of either one is what determines whether or not it's an oil-based or wax-based pencil. But today in this video we are going to try out these blenders on the Grizzai pencils, as well as the Polychromos, which are an oil-based pencil, and the Prismacolors, which are very much so a wax-based pencil. And then this here is their Burnisher blender fact sheet, and it just tells you a little bit about the blenders. It explains to you what burnishing is and what blending is. Today in this video, I'm going to show you each one of those so that we can go ahead and test the blenders out and see if we can get the same results over here that they show in the picture. Now it does tell you here that the Burnisher blender pencil has a 3.8 millimeter break resistant core for use with any oil or wax based colored pencil. You will find that this blender blends colored pencils seamlessly and burnishes with minimal wax residue, allowing you to apply multiple layers of colored pencil and burnisher blender. And then down here it tells you how to burnish the colors together. So when you're burnishing, you are actually using the burnisher blender on top of the colored pencils to fill in the tooth of the paper so that you could create more of a solid color. And then it does give you some instructions here telling you how you would use them so you can get more of a painterly look. So you would start by laying down a base with your burnisher blender, and then you would apply your colored pencils on the top to create a smooth finish. And we will go ahead and try that out. And then down here it tells you how to blend your colors together, blend colored pencils seamlessly when you apply the burnisher blender on top of your layers, which will also intensify colors and create smooth edges. So it basically goes from here where you would see a lot of the way to the paper to a very smooth blended look. Now today in this video I'm going to go ahead and use the Spring Hill paper for all of these tests because I feel like this is the paper that I always highly recommend to all of you. It is the most affordable, and I know this is what a lot of you are using to print out any of your swatch charts or your coloring page PDFs. Okay, so let's go ahead and get these opened up. So this is what the blenders look like, and they have a really nice wood barrel on them, and they are hexagonal just like their colored pencils. It does say Grizzai on it in gold writing, and then Burnisher blender, and then the number on it is 000. So these are their colored pencils. This is the color Sunburst, and just like the blender, it does say Grizzai on it, and then it does have a color number. And like I said, they are hexagonal just like the blender. And when they come to you, this is what the tips look like. Of course, you probably should sharpen those, but we're going to go ahead and try these out. Okay, so I did grab my 72 set. I have these in here with my Brutfuner macarons just to save some space. I've got both in the same case, but this is what the Grizzai pencils look like. They're a really beautiful set of pencils, and they've got some gorgeous colors. And I'll just flip through here just so you can see what they look like. But I really do love this set. So this is my Grizzai swatch chart. I made this swatch chart. I actually put these all in color family order, and this is available in my Etsy shop. So we're just gonna pick 3 colors to blend together. I'm looking at our swatch chart and we're gonna see how well these blenders work. And I think that I probably wanna do like a red into orange and then yellow, so we could really test them out and see how they blend the colors together when the colors are different from one another, rather than staying in the same color family. And I'll do the same thing when I pull out my Polychromos as well as my Prismacolors. So how about we go with red, orange, and yellow? That was simple enough. So here's red, and then orange, and then yellow. I love how these have very simple names. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to try out exactly how they told us to lay the colors down. So we're going to try burnishing with them first, and then we're going to try blending. So what I'm going to do for the burnishing is I'm just going to lay some color down and not fill all the white of the paper. And then we're going to see how well the blender fills all of the white of the paper for us. So let's go ahead and do that with the orange. Actually, maybe we should lay 2 colors and do 2 layers. So let me go ahead and lay down the orange first, not covering all the white of the paper. And then I'm going to lay the yellow over the top of it, and then maybe a little bit more orange. Okay, so we've got 2 layers of both. And now we're going to see how well the burnishing works with these blenders. And it is actually moving the color around, and it is filling all the white of the paper. Look at that. It's bringing both of the colors together, and it is making the yellow and the orange look much more like a yellowish orange. Let's go ahead and come back the other way. So it did do a really good job of bringing those colors together and filling the white of the paper. And I'm sure if I laid a little bit more color down there than that, it would probably do even a better job. But let me hold this up a lot closer, and you can see that it did a fairly good job of filling all the white of the paper and bringing those colors together. Okay, so then it also says here, for a painterly look, start by laying down a base with your Burnisher blender and then apply the colored pencils on top to create a smooth finish. So we're going to try using this technique and doing it backwards now. Okay, so I had to wipe the tip off. Anytime you're using your burnishers or your blenders, you will get the color from the colored pencil on the tip of the pencil. And if you're working on your coloring page on another color, you want to make sure that you color off to the side first before you bring it to your coloring page, because you don't want the color that you previously used to get into your new colors. So we're just going to lay some of this down here, and then we're going to go over it with our colored pencils. So now I have the orange. Oh, wow. Oh, that is so super cool. Look at that. And you could tell exactly where I laid the burnisher down, because when I go out of that area, it looks much different. You can see over here and a little bit over here. If I come over here and lay a little bit more down, you can certainly tell that I did not lay the burnisher down, but look at the difference, and it does give it what they're calling a painterly look. That is so cool. So let's go back the other direction and get a little bit more down onto the paper, and it actually is covering all the white of the paper as I lay it down on top of where I laid that burnisher. So that is another technique that you can try on your coloring pages, and it will just instantly cover all the white of the paper for you. I feel like if you were to do that on your coloring pages, it would probably also save a whole lot of time. Now let's go ahead and move on to the blending technique. So I'm going to use the red, the orange, and the yellow. So I think because I've got things going this direction, I'm going to go ahead and go this direction instead of up and down like I usually do. So I'm going to lay down some of the yellow. Then I'm going to use my orange and lay a whole separate section in the middle for that, and blending it just a little bit into that yellow. And then I am going to do the same with the red. And then I'm going to pull it into that orange. And I think I do want to get a second layer down here before we come in with the blender. But look how nice these pencils blend together. I really love these pencils. They go down on the paper so super smooth. I've never had an issue with any one of these pencils having any scratchiness at all. Okay, so I think that's enough because I want to see if the blender does most of the work for me. So I'm going to start over here with the lightest color, and then I'm going to pull down to the darkest color because I don't want to grab any of my dark color into the lightest lightest one. So I'm going to go in a circular motion and I'm just going to start to pull the colors together. And we're going to see if we can get a really smooth transition where the orange meets that yellow. And then I'm going to come over here and start pulling from the orange into the red. And look how it just instantly spreads out that color. Okay, y'all, these work really nicely. Look at that transition, how nice it is. Okay, so we have a pretty nice blend already and really smooth transitions, but I'm going to come the other way and go over this again, and look how it just moves that color around. These are really nice blenders. Wow, these are super nice. I'm impressed. Okay, so there is our blending technique, and all of the colors came together really nicely. All the transitions are super smooth, and all the colors are just really beautiful. And you could see with these pencils that once I touched them to the paper, they are very pigmented, and the color did lay right down. And then when I used the Grizzai blender, everything came together really seamlessly. But I am, like I said, very impressed with these. Okay, now, like I said, the Grizzai pencils are a hybrid of wax and oil. I'm assuming when they say that they are pretty much 50-50. So we are going to try the Polychromos and the Prismacolors. The Prismacolors we all know are very, very waxy. I want to see how this blender performs with a pencil that is much waxier. And then we're going to try the Polychromos, which are a much harder pencil and very much so oil-based, because I know y'all are going to want to know how they're going to perform with any of your other pencils. Okay, so I grabbed my Polychromos swatch chart, and this is actually one of my swatch charts that's available in my Etsy shop, but I wanted to grab my swatch chart because I want to match the colors up pretty much the same so that this test is pretty fair, and then we'll be able to compare. I did match up the colors, and so for my yellow, I'm going to use light chrome yellow, which is right here. And then I matched up my orange with orange glaze. So I have orange glaze. And then I matched up my red with the deep scarlet red, which is right here. And all three of them are pretty close. And that's another reason why it's a really good idea to always have swatch charts and always swatch out all your colors, because if you are using a more budget set and you want to match it up to your artist grade sets, or any set for that matter, you can use your swatch chart and get really good color matches. So I really want to see how this blender performs on these other pencils. So we're going to go through each one of these tests with the Polychromos and the Prismacolors. So for the first one, we're just going to lay down the two colors like we did previously. So I have my yellow and then the orange that I chose, and I'm going to lay that right over the top. And I think I did 2 layers of each one if I'm remembering correctly. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And then I'm going to grab my Grizzai blender and I am just going to go over it, and oh wow, it's already blending them together. Okay, so it is blending together the colors and getting rid of the white of the paper. But keep in mind, it is going to look a little bit different because these are an oil-based pencil. And then I'm going to come back and go the other direction, and it is moving the color around, but I will say it's not moving it around as much as it did with the Grizzai pencils. And it's probably because these pencils have much more of an oil base than wax. Okay, so we're going to lay some of the Burnisher blender down here, and we're going to test out this burnishing technique. And I think for this one, I just did the orange, and look, it is laying down really nicely and covering the white of the paper right over the top of where I laid that down. And I'm going to go out a little bit more here so you can see the difference in what it looks like where I didn't lay the Burnisher blender down. And now let's come back the other direction, but it does give it more of that painted look. But that is really super cool. Okay, so now we have to try the blending technique with the Polychromos. And I'm going to lay these down just like I laid the others down. So I am going to lay my yellow down first, and then my orange. And of course, just like I did with the other one, I'm going to pull that orange into that yellow just a little. Now keep in mind, these are an oil-based pencil and they do lay down much differently. They're more of a layering pencil rather than a blending pencil. They're meant to be layered. You'll see the color get much more bright and vibrant as you continue to lay the layers down. And I think I did 2 layers with the other one, so I'm going to do the same here. And then I'm going to grab my blender pencil, and just like I did previously, I'm going to start with the yellow, and we're going to work our way into this transition area and see how the colors come together. Go over the orange, and then I'm going to come over here where the orange meets with the red, and look how nicely it's blending those together. And the color is moving around. And then I'm gonna wanna come back and go the other direction, but it's really making a super smooth transition. Okay, so I'll hold this up closer so y'all can see, and then maybe you can compare also the differences that you see, and you'll have to let me know in the comments below exactly what you think. For each one of these techniques I tried with each one of these sets of pencils, I almost think that with the Polychromos, it blended the colors together better where I tried that first burnishing technique, but I think that the blended techniques, I think they look about the same, but we do have really nice transitions on each one of them. So we're gonna go ahead and try it with the Prismacolors now and see how the blender performs with those. So now I went ahead and matched up my Prismacolors. I've got carmine red, orange, and canary yellow, and they are pretty close matches. So we're gonna go ahead and first try this burnishing technique here. And so we're just gonna lay down two of the colors. So I've got my orange and then my yellow. And now I'm going to use the Burnisher blender to burnish them together. And look how nicely it is getting rid of the white of the paper. And let's go ahead and go the other direction. So you can see it's blended all the colors together and it's bringing them together really, really nicely and covering all that white of the paper. And of course, because these are a wax-based pencil, the color is moving around really, really nicely. I think the color actually moved around with the Prismacolors much, much better, but that's because they are very much so a wax-based pencil and the color just moves and blends and smushes together. If you're familiar with Prismacolors, you know that's exactly how they work, but those colors came together seamlessly. I'll hold this up here so that you can see, but that one is almost perfect compared to the Grizzai or the Polychromos. Now we're going to try the other burnishing technique where we just lay down the Burnisher blender, and then we're going to use the orange to go over it, and look how nicely that is laying down and creating that very painted look. Let's go out here to the side just like I did with the other ones just a little bit so you can see the difference if you were just laying down your colored pencils or you were laying them down onto the Burnisher blender. But look how it makes it very painted looking. And again, I think it did better with the Prismacolors than it did with the others. And I'll hold it closer so that y'all can see, and I'll pull it down a little bit so you could see the difference. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the blending technique. And so I'm going to lay my canary yellow down, and then my orange, and then the color I chose for my red. This is carmine red. And I think I did 2 layers. Let me come down here and lay a little bit more down of the red and pull it into that orange just a little. And then we'll see what our blender can do. So I'm going to start here with the yellow and go in a circular motion and pull that into the transition where I've got the orange and the yellow. And it is moving the color around quite a bit. I'm going to pull in from the orange into the red, and that's creating a really smooth transition there. And it is also getting rid of the white of the paper, moving the color around. But as you all know, with the Prismacolor, the pigment in the pencil does move around quite a bit more than most other colored pencils. And I'm going to move it around here on the red just a little bit more, just to see how much of that white of the paper I can get rid of. So I'll hold that up close so you can see, but we did again get very smooth transitions, and it did cover all the rest of the white of the paper that I didn't cover when I initially laid the colors down. But now you can see all the different pencils and the blender test all right up against one another. You'll have to let me know what you think about how the Grizzai blender burnisher performed on each one of these sets of pencils. So this is the Polychromos, our more so oil-based pencil, and then our Prismacolors, which are our very much so wax-based pencil, and then we have the Grizzai pencils, which are a hybrid of wax and oil. I would assume when they say that, they mean it's pretty much 50-50. But I would honestly say that the Grizzai burnisher blender did work well on all of these pencils. You can see that there is a super smooth transition on each one of these blend tests. They all blended together pretty much the same. And then on the burnisher test, they all look different, I think just because of the types of pencils that they are. But that test also worked well on each one of the pencils. And then for this burnisher test over here, I think I really like the way that the blender worked with this technique on the actual Grizzai pencils. And then I think second, I would probably say the Prismacolors. And then third, I would say the Polychromos. But as far as that technique goes, where you lay the Burnisher blender down first and then you come back over it with your colored pencils, I don't know how many people are actually going to be using that technique. I think most of us that are coloring in coloring books or printed out coloring pages are going to be using this technique here, and I think it performed really, really well with that technique for each one of these. And it honestly made transitions as smooth as what my absolute favorite blender pencil does for me, the Karandash blender pencil. I love that blender pencil, but I really like this one too. You know what, now that I said that, I think that maybe we should lay some colors down and try using the Karandash blender, and then we can see a comparison between the two. Okay, so let's do that right here, right next to this one, so we can get a really clear comparison. But I'm gonna lay my yellow one down and then my orange and pull it a little bit into that yellow, and then my red. And just like with this one and all the others, I'm gonna lay down 2 layers. And then I'm going to use my Karandash blender, and we're going to see if there is really a difference. Oh my goodness, did the Grizzai one work better? Oh wow. I don't know, I think with the Grizzai Burnisher blender, I got a much smoother transition here where the yellow meets the orange. Let me go ahead and come back the other direction. Okay, that's getting a little bit better of a blend. Let me see here where the yellow meets the orange though. I don't know, I think I might like this one better. I'll hold them up close so you can see both of those. But I think that the transition here from orange to yellow is much better than the transition here from orange to yellow. I don't know if it's maybe the way I laid the pencils down. I don't think it is, but I don't know. This Grizzai blender is a really, really nice one. Let's try the same with the Polychromos. And I'm just gonna lay my colors down here really quickly. And then I'm going to come in here with the Karandash blender, and I am going to bring all of these together and try to create those really smooth transitions. But oh my goodness, if you look at these right up against one another, I don't really see a difference. So I'm going to go the other direction, and I'm going to focus here on this transition. It's really moving that color around on the Polychromos. But I think it looks pretty much the same. Okay, so this was the Karandash and this was the Grizzai blender. But I don't know, did I get a smoother orange to yellow transition with the Grizzai blender on the Polychromos? I think I might have. Definitely let me know what you all think in the comments below, because sometimes I don't see what you all see. Okay, so we're going to do this very last one. I'm really putting these to the test today. So I'm going to try to get a nice blend between my yellow and my orange to make sure that we're getting a really good comparison here. And a second layer. I'm going to pull that yellow out just a little bit more. And a second layer of the red. And then we're going to try the Karandash blender and see what we can do here. So it's really blending those colors out and creating a really nice transition. The orange to yellow transition, that is the one that is really the test, because we're going from a darker color into a much lighter color. But the Karandash blender is definitely blending that out really, really nicely. Let's go ahead and go the other direction. But the color is definitely moving around nicely, and I think I got a really nice transition with the Karandash blender using it on the Prismacolors. And I'm gonna hold this much closer. I think with the Prismacolors, I got a better blend. Let's go ahead and go over this yellow to orange transition here and see if I can get a better blend. And I think I actually did. I think they both look pretty much the same, but I'll hold that close so y'all can see. But I would definitely say that this Grizzai Burnisher blender is comparable to what was my absolute favorite blender, the Karandash full blender. So yeah, I would say that I'm really, really impressed with this. And you can get these on the Grizzai website in a pack of 2 for only $9.99. I will make sure that I have that linked below in the description box so that you can easily find it. So let me know in the comments below if you have decided you're going to go ahead and grab one of these Grizzai blenders. I would love to hear your thoughts. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coloring. Bye.